If you believe that once you receive U.S. citizenship or a green card, your immigration story is finished forever, what you are about to hear may seriously challenge that belief. Right now, fear, confusion, and shock are spreading across immigrant communities as new green card travel rules taking effect on January 10th are being linked to government actions that many people thought were legally impossible. Online forums are filling up with panic, immigration attorneys are seeing a sudden rise in emergency consultations, and long-settled families are asking the same terrifying question. Can the government really revisit immigration cases from 20 or even 25 years ago? The answer, while uncomfortable, is more complex and more serious than most people realize, and understanding it could be the difference between protecting your future and walking blindly into a legal nightmare. For decades, immigrants were told that time brings security. The longer you live in the United States, the stronger your status becomes. Pay your taxes, raise your family, stay out of trouble, and eventually everything will be fine. That belief shaped how millions of green card holders and naturalized citizens lived their lives. Travel abroad became routine. Long visits to home countries felt safe. Many people stopped thinking about their old paperwork, assuming it was buried forever in dusty government files. What has changed now is not just policy language, but enforcement behavior, data capability, and the willingness of agencies to look backward instead of only forward. The January 10th green card travel rule change is acting like a trigger rather than a standalone threat. On the surface, it looks like an update to how travel intent, duration, and residency ties are evaluated when someone leaves and re-enters the United States. But behind that surface is a deeper shift. Immigration systems are now far more interconnected than ever before. Travel records, airline manifests, passport scans, old visa filings, asylum statements, marriage records, employment histories, and even foreign data sources are being digitally cross-checked. When someone travels internationally, especially after years of limited scrutiny, it can activate automated reviews that bring decades-old information back into focus. This is where the fear about citizenship revocation after 25 years comes from. U.S. law has always allowed denaturalization in cases where citizenship was obtained through fraud, misrepresentation, or concealment of material facts. What most people didn't realize is that there is no statute of limitations on this power. Time alone does not erase errors on immigration applications. For many years, enforcement of these provisions was rare and selective. That created a false sense of permanence. Now, as enforcement priorities change and technology improves, cases that would once have gone unnoticed are being reopened. Travel plays a critical role in this process because it creates fresh data points. When someone leaves and re-enters the country, officers may compare current travel behavior with statements made years ago. If an old application claimed continuous residence, limited foreign ties, or specific timelines that no longer align with actual travel history, questions can arise. Even innocent mistakes made decades earlier can become serious legal issues if the government believes the information was material to the approval of status. Green card holders face their own unique risks under the January 10th changes. Permanent residence is based on the intent to live permanently in the United States. Extended stays abroad, repeated long trips, or evidence of stronger ties outside the U.S. can be interpreted as abandonment of residency. Many people assume that as long as their green card is valid, re-entry is guaranteed. In reality, admission is always discretionary at the border. A green card allows you to seek entry, not demand it. Officers have broad authority to question intent, review travel patterns, and initiate proceedings if they believe residency has been compromised. What makes the current moment especially dangerous is how quiet and administrative many of these actions are. There are no dramatic announcements for most cases, no warning letters years in advance. A person may only realize there is a problem when they are pulled into secondary inspection, asked unexpected questions, or handed documents that initiate legal proceedings. For naturalized citizens, the shock can be even greater. Citizenship feels absolute. Being told that it is under review decades later can feel surreal and devastating. The emotional impact of these cases cannot be overstated. People who have lived their entire adult lives in the United States suddenly face uncertainty about their identity and belonging. Families fear separation. Careers hang in the balance. Retirement plans collapse under legal costs. This is why misinformation spreads so quickly in moments like this. Fear fills the gaps left by complexity. Some claim the government is launching mass revocations. Others dismiss everything as fake news. The truth sits in an uncomfortable middle ground. These cases are not widespread, but they are real, and their existence means the risk is not zero. Immigration attorneys across the country are warning clients not to panic, but also not to ignore the changes. The key message is preparation. Knowing your own immigration history matters more now than it did 10 years ago. Understanding what was stated on past applications, how long you have spent outside the U.S., and how your current behavior might be interpreted is essential. Travel is not forbidden, but uninformed travel is risky. What feels like a simple trip can become the event that brings your file back into review. Another critical factor driving concern is intent. Immigration law is deeply focused on intent at specific moments in time. What did you intend when you applied for a visa, for a green card, or for citizenship? If your present-day actions appear inconsistent with those claims, the government may argue that the original intent was misrepresented. Even if your life circumstances changed honestly over time, proving that distinction can be legally complex. Travel patterns are often used as evidence in these arguments, which is why the January 10th travel rule change has drawn so much attention. Technology has transformed enforcement. In the past, reviewing old cases required manual effort, time, and coordination. Today, algorithms can flag inconsistencies instantly. A single international trip can activate automated checks that compare decades of data. This doesn't mean everyone will be targeted, but it does mean that errors that once stayed buried are more likely to surface. The system is not emotional. It does not consider how long you've lived here or how much you've contributed unless that information is presented legally and effectively. For many viewers, the most unsettling realization is that legality does not always align with fairness. Something can be legally permissible while still feeling unjust. The government's authority to revisit cases does not mean it will always do so wisely or compassionately. That is why legal representation matters so much in this environment. Immigration law is one of the most complex areas of U.S. law, and small details can have massive consequences. If you are a green card holder or a naturalized citizen watching this and feeling uneasy, that reaction is understandable. The goal is not to live in fear, but to live informed. January 10th is not a doomsday date, but it is a reminder that immigration status is built on documentation, accuracy, and ongoing compliance, not just time. Awareness is protection. Silence and assumptions are risks. As enforcement evolves, staying informed becomes a form of self-defense. Understanding how travel interacts with immigration law, knowing when to seek professional advice, and resisting the urge to rely on rumors can help you navigate this moment safely. The system may feel overwhelming, but knowledge restores a sense of control. If this video helped clarify what's really happening behind the headlines, take a moment to like it, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who may be planning to travel soon. These changes don't just affect individuals, they affect families and communities. Staying informed together is the strongest response to uncertainty.